Welcome to From Click to Client, where we transform a confusing message into a clear, compelling story that sells. I'm your host, Kris Jones, StoryBrand marketing expert. I'm here to help you attract more dream clients with the power of story. Today, we are talking to Joanna Lott, who helps coaches actually make money doing what they love. And you have been there yourself, right? As a coach, you started out, you wanted to do coaching, you wanted to be a profitable business owner. Did you struggle with that at the beginning? And is that why now you're helping other coaches do that work?
Yes, exactly. I think most of us are trying to save our former self. So totally, I did my coach training in executive coaching. I had read on websites that you could get something like £500 per hour times 40 hours a week. And I was like, this is going to be easy. Like, I had no concept of marketing. I just thought somehow I was going to just have these 40 hours a week. I mean, it was very misleading for a coach training organization to have that on their website. But sadly, that's what they had. And you're so naive coming from employment and maybe never having had to market or do any of that type of work before. Yes, I was the classic coach who has no idea about what they're about to get into. So I got my qualification. I thought everything was going to change the moment that qualification was in my hands. And then obviously you realize that everybody says, that's really nice, that's really inspiring, but no one is booking you. So I went on a long journey, obviously worked with lots of amazing mentors, learned everything I needed to build up my executive and career coaching business, and eventually did super well, was really visible, overcame so many hurdles of doing that because I genuinely was your classic coach who had no idea. And soon I was marketing really well and really busy. So I started my program on the side 4.5 years ago now, and like helping coaches to do this, as well as doing my previous executive and career coaching work. And eventually it's grown and grown. So that's my sole focus now, is to help coaches to do what I so desperately wish someone would have helped me to do really effectively at the start.
And tell me, when you worked with those mentors, right? When you decided, okay, gosh, just because I have a certification doesn't mean clients are going to want to work with me. What did you learn? What were one or two of the biggest takeaways that you learned during that period that turned things around for your business?
Yeah, well, in all honesty, I didn't really find exactly what I needed. I joined a program that was way too advanced for where I was at. So it was very in depth about getting funding and things that are just not relevant when you are starting a business or when you're starting this type of business. So what I really wish, so I've essentially created what I really wish I had, because it took me a long time because the programs I was in were just not suitable. So what I would do now, and what I do obviously in my program, is really tune into why you want your business to begin with, and what are your goals for it, and how committed you are to showing up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then identifying your ideal client and what problem you're solving, again, which is really hard for a coach because you learn you can help everyone with everything. So niche down. And then third piece is create a tangible offer rather than try and sell coaching. So sadly, none of the programs I did really taught that. So I think I went around the houses. I'm not sure how I eventually picked it up, but thank God at some point I did pick up that they are the real fundamentals, and then consistently marketing your business after that.
Right. And when you talk about consistently marketing, what does that mean?
I call it your constant marketing protocol, which sounds a little bit depressing with the word constant in there. But I like to think it's quite reassuring. It's your baseline, like what I want it to become. It's just something that I do. It's not heavy. I don't have to think, oh gosh, I've got to write a LinkedIn post. It's just something that I do. So my constant marketing protocol is posting on LinkedIn 5 times a week. I know that might sound a lot depending on who's listening. I do a podcast once a week, and I do masterclasses maybe once a quarter. So that is my constant marketing protocol. It's not heavy anymore. It's just something that I do, and I don't have to think about it because it's a routine and it just happens.
I love that. Yeah, there is such a mindset shift when you start to think about these as just part of your job, right? It's just part of your job. And it's not like endless homework. It's just part of the way you go fishing and you reach people. Um, I talk a lot about, with my clients, I talk about the website as the center of your marketing universe and the importance of really getting your website tuned up with your story, with your core offer, and really dialing it in a way that it acts as your top sales employee. Like if you were to hire a full-time salesperson, I don't want you to have to hire a full-time salesperson. I want your website to do that work. But what I'm getting at is I like to think of the website as the sun in your marketing universe. All around the sun, there are lots of different planets. And when I think about each planet is a marketing activity, one might be LinkedIn posting, one might be masterclasses, one might be email marketing, one might be social media posting. And what I like to tell my clients, because I think you and I are both aligned in a less is more approach to not only marketing, but business ownership, is to pick two planets. You do not have to be on all the planets. Pick two planets that you genuinely enjoy and you genuinely look forward to. For me, posting on social media feels like never ending homework, whereas getting on a podcast, talking, having a conversation with somebody on a podcast feels very life-giving. It feels effortless. It feels fun. I look forward to it. I love talking about what I do and I love learning about other people. So podcasting is one of my planets. I picked that one. And then I picked email marketing because I know that can be fun for me and I love the engagement that it gets. Those are my two planets. I don't really do any of the other planets and I don't think anybody else needs to either. Does that resonate with you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I always tell my clients to do what makes you feel good. There's no point in doing, like, I don't say you have to use LinkedIn to grow your business
Right.
because some people it's just not going to work for. Like, I'm really into tuning into exactly who you are, what energizes you, and the less is more approach. So, like you say, I suggest people pick, if they're using social media, one sole platform to focus on because you cannot do any more than that. It's hard enough to do one, as you've
Right.
said,
Yep.
and then one deeper nurture place. So your email list, or you're speaking on podcasts, or maybe a blog, something that's deeper. So I talk about it as shallow, which is social media, and deep. So you might want the shallow to bring people in to your deeper nurture places.
Ooh.
But love how you don't use social media and make really go big on podcasting. And I've noticed that.
Yeah, yeah, it's really effective and everybody gets to choose their planet and then when you're doing that activity on the planet that you've chosen, point people back to the website knowing it's going to do that work of selling for you. Speaking of selling, you talk about not having to do sales calls at all. Is that right? And if it is, how does that work?
Yeah, it's amazing. I used to find I work basically 20 hours a week because I have kids, as you know. And I used to find I was probably spending 10 hours a week on sales calls. And so I just had to figure out a different way. And it was so nerve-wracking moving to a sales page, which is now on my website. And I obviously thought no one's ever going to buy from me again because, that's how people buy from me. How could I do this?
Right.
But anyway, I gave it a shot, and I wouldn't say everybody just hits buy now on the sales page, but what they do is complete an application on the sales page if they're not ready to buy now. It will say curious but have questions. It will take them to a Google Doc, which they can complete about where they're at, where they're wanting to get to, all of the things.
Mhm.
And then I use loom.com. So it's a video platform where you can share my screen, talk through exactly where they're at, and for some reason, I can just be so much more open. And I think they can be so much more open because in the form, I maybe have asked questions that I wouldn't feel that comfortable asking, like, how much money have you earned in your business? I probably wouldn't say that on a
Mm.
sales call, a discovery call. But strangely enough, in a form, I can ask all the questions that I really need to know. And I can say, what questions do you have for me to make sure this is a right fit? And therefore, we can actually have a really transparent conversation, even though it's not face to face. Because in my video where I talk through their answers, they've been really transparent with me, which allows me to be really transparent back. And so I would say I have probably an 85 to 90% conversion rate from my Loom videos. And that's for a fairly high ticket program. It's £3,600, so over $4,000, I guess. Yeah, which is quite unheard of, I think, for someone that's not particularly famous to be able to convert without sales calls.
That's incredible. I love it because it's still very intimate. It's very personal. They feel like they're really getting you, your eyes on their business and a connection with you, but you get to do it on your own time, in your pajamas, or whenever you have like a free 15 minutes to kind of hop on Loom. And I'm a big lover of Loom, but I've never used it in my sales call process. And I think that's brilliant because I think none of us really mind working. It's just we want to work on our own time, and we want to work when we want to work. And I think as parents, we could have little windows here and there, but we never quite know when those little windows are going to occur. So, how lovely that you've kind of strategized the sales process without having to get on sales calls. So, did you remove the sales call button from your website altogether?
I did. So people do sometimes message saying, I'm on your website. I'm looking for a way to book a call with you and I can't find one. And I used to say, oh, yeah, of course, here's my Calendly link. And, because I was still in the early days of doing it. But now generally I send a Loom back to
Yeah.
that website query saying I'm a mum and I only work really reduced hours. Therefore, it's much easier for me to be able to reply, in my own time. So please let me know more about you. I can't wait to learn about you. And I'll reply, via a video message like this. So yes, I've removed that. I mean, I'm not saying I would never have a call if someone really wants, but I do try to do that. And it really works because nearly every time I go straight to the call and just say, oh, that's fine. Here's my Calendly link. I regret it because I think we've missed that extra warming up phase of the Loom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It amazes
Mm.
me, even though I've been doing it for about a year now and consistently sold my program every single month, 5 spots a month for over a year in this process, with no deadlines, no fake scarcity. It's an evergreen program; they can join anytime. Yeah, so it's amazing. It amazes me this work.
Wow. That kind of blows my mind. The piece about every time you send them a Calendly link, you're like thinking, ooh, like that little gut nudge of like, ooh, we've just skipped over this kind of intimate warming up. I love that that was kind of a surprise awareness that came out of this. Like it's not only as good, but it's actually better than having a sales call, right?
It really is better because, like I say, that transparency, they can see it on their terms. I can do it on my terms. And yeah, I think it just suits all of us. We're all busy people and with limited time in the diary. So yeah, it just helps me really talk through all of the options. I can also share screen. So, for example, if they're interested in the program, I can show them inside the portal. I can show them inside the Slack group and say, here's the community. As you can see, it's really active. So you can also help them take a sneak peek, which you can't really do so well on a sales call or a sales page. So yeah, it works on lots of different levels.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I know my listeners are kind of their minds are blown right now because I know mine is. So is this when you talk about building trust, is that how you do it, or there are additional things that you do to build the trust?
Yeah, the trust is really important. And I wouldn't say many people can go straight to a sales page. If you're new in business, maybe, and you haven't got much marketing out there, it's really hard generally to sell from a sales page, and they have usually quite low conversion rates. The things that I did that helped me to do that really effectively is firstly, really prioritize video case studies with previous clients. So my sales page has maybe 20 videos on it, short edited videos of the impact so they can see real people like them with their real full names talking through the program. So that's really helped. And again, that's taken time to build up, but I really prioritize it, which helps me give amazing service because I'm obsessed by getting a case study, and it helps them to celebrate their own progress. And everyone wants to be a case study. So they'll see that sales page and they think, one day I'm going to be sharing my story. And loads of my clients say that to me. They envisage that right from the start. So the case studies has really helped. And the other thing that's really helped is the podcast. So like I say, the deep nurturing, that's enabled me to do it because then people get to hear me every week. Mine is a solo podcast, so it is genuinely just me usually, although obviously sometimes I have guests, as you know, Kris. But generally, they get to hear me every week with my thinking process and get to know me that way as well. So I think those two things have made it possible to sell
Mm.
from the sales page.
Oh my gosh, yes. The podcast, especially the solo episodes, when you're literally in their ear, you're in their brain, and it is such an intimate moment, and they're going to be listening at a time where they can really hear you. Even if they're doing the dishes or taking the dog for a walk or whatever it is, like that, just gentle, soft, persistent, getting to know somebody. It's real, right? You're making this recording, but they're really getting to know you in such a beautiful way. I love that you prioritize your case study calls, and I 100% resonate with this. I began to make this a priority about 2 years ago, and after I worked with clients, I would schedule a 15-minute case study call and just to talk about what's happened for them, what they were struggling with, where they're at now, and it is, I look forward, I'm as obsessed as you are about these calls, and they're so fun. They really remind me of how powerful the work that I do is, but it's also just like it's such a joyful experience to watch what happens in people's lives as a result of the work together. Um, Video testimonials and video case study calls, I think they're hard to get. A lot of people don't do them. A lot of people feel like they don't have time to do them. For many years, I felt like I don't have time to do that. And then I realized this is proof. This is proof that what I'm doing is working for people. And everyone's busy. When you ask a client for a testimonial, it's kind of a big load, right? They don't know what to say. They don't know where to begin. No one wants to be on video. I mean, it's like there's a lot of hurdles to get over, which is why I don't do it that way. I book a 15-minute call and I let them know it's probably only going to be 10 minutes, but I'm going to add 5 minutes in there just for a little cushion. And I ask them 4 questions and we get right to the heart of things. And then I pull that video into Descript. I edit it down. So I remove all the fluff. I just get the good nuggets out of there and then upload it to my website. And then I have a page of proof. A page of proof. Everybody needs a page of proof. And even if you only have 3 clients, even if you only have 1 client that you can say really experienced a good result with you and they're willing to hop on a short call. Everyone's willing to hop on a short call. Nobody minds a recorded Zoom call. It's no big deal, but it's very different than having to pick up your phone and just speak to your own face and talk about a situation that you've been through. And so that's how I've kind of overcome that hurdle. And I think everyone wins, right? To your point, it's such a good reminder to them of what they've accomplished and how far they've come. And that is just the best.
Oh, so, so good. And yes, like you say, on my website, I have a page called results with all of the different videos. And that actually did come from a mentor who once said, what you eventually want is one of those pages where you just scroll and scroll and scroll, and the social proof is never ending. And I remember at that point thinking, I'm going to create one of those. And I literally have. And now she says to me, because now we're in a mastermind together at the same level, I cannot believe that you prioritize this one bit of golden nugget and she hasn't prioritized it quite as much as me now. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, hilarious that one small comment can make such a big impact in your business.
100%. And you know what I love about what you just shared is that the page is called results. right? You just very clearly said these are the results that people get in one word. And I think I'm going to change the name of mine to results, per your inspiration. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're
So
so welcome.
I have a lot of coaches in my world. I'm intimately like I'm in a mastermind with other coaches. I consider myself like a story strategist and a marketing strategist, and I love story. But I'm in a world with a lot of other coaches, and I work intimately. My clients, many of them, most of them are coaches, I would say. Um, Things are changing a little bit. Like I feel like the times are changing. What trends are you seeing, and what do you see for the next year or two in the coaching industry?
Yes, totally. I do think things are changing massively. I think it's taking a lot longer for people to buy. So previously, people would sign clients quite quickly, whereas now it takes a lot longer. Even the clients that work with me have generally been looking at me for a year plus prior to purchasing from me. So I do think buyer decisions are slower. I think the hype is over. People are tiring a bit of the hype. So I think that's died down, and trust and in-person events are starting to come back. I'm hosting an in-person event in a few weeks, and I throw in two of those a year to allow people to come and really experience what it's like. So yeah, things are changing. I think there'll hopefully always be a need for real, true connection that AI can't replace. And I experienced that just myself yesterday when I was thinking, oh, should I do something different in my business? I tried to chat it through with ChatGPT. And I just thought, gosh, you know what? I'm actually lonely. So I took the brave move of messaging my WhatsApp mastermind group and just said, has anyone got time for a call now? Usually you have to book in advance to speak to anybody these days.
Mhm.
And I was just so desperate to just chat it through with someone.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that, maybe it's more readily available coaching, a bit like the Loom. I use that a lot with my clients to feedback on their websites, offers. So it can be instant in the moment that they need it. So there are a few of the changes I've noticed. How about you?
Mm, real similar to what you shared. I think, the coaching industry is saturated. Um, and I think that like you said, it's taking people longer to make a decision. I think people are holding on to their money a little bit tighter than maybe they have been in the past. And yeah, I think also, I don't know if it's like economically or politically or what it is, but I think people are just not as willing to just dive into, a multiple $1,000 investment as they might have been in the past. So it's different. It's not a bad thing. I think it's an evolution, and I think people are more savvy now when it comes to more marketing manipulation tactics like countdown timers and timelines and this is the only chance and da da da, like all that bullshit basically. I think people are not falling for it anymore, which is a really good thing. Like I think ultimately the real leaders, the real guides, the real like effective, tried and true coaches are always going to rise to the top. And I think you and I are both big believers in just authentic, honest marketing. And it's not always the way to get, it's not going to necessarily get you the quickest result, but it's going to be sustainable and effective over the long haul.
Yeah, totally. And it can feel quite frustrating. Like my strapline is honesty, not hype. And sometimes it used to be really frustrating when you'd maybe have a sales call with somebody. This is a few years ago. And then, the following week you'd see them in a Zoom call with someone that's obviously said you can get 100K in however many days. That I don't see it as often anymore as I used to, but I still think it is out there, and lots of people do get sucked into wanting that magic pill rather than the hard work. So it can feel frustrating, I think, sometimes marketing with honesty, not hype. But like you say, long term, that I can sleep well at night,
Yeah.
that I can serve my clients well, that I can get amazing case studies, which most of these people are just pretend
Right.
saying, oh, this person got this. I've never seen these case studies from them before. So it's just words, isn't it? So I think
Yes.
you just have to go with your heart and gut and do what's right, don't you?
Absolutely. So I've got one more question for you before we wrap up. I want to hear about how you've transitioned um, from one-on-one work to group work and how you kind of keep that personal touch when you scale. I know this is really relevant for a lot of the clients that I work with, and making that shift and the fear around, gosh, when I move to a group model, it's going to be more impersonal, or it's going to be less effective. And I want to hear your experience of going one-on-one to group, and how you've made that transition, and how you've maintained the connection, the intimacy, the success.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I only run a group now. It has got quite large, and it's funny that every point I've thought, oh, I can't have any more than 6 people. I can't have any more than 10. And then I got to 20. I was like, I better stop. And now I think I have 45 people in my current group program, which makes me feel slightly sick because I always thought I don't want to have one of these impersonal large group programs. And then suddenly you're like, oh, my program is quite large now, but it's not impersonal. And I know every single person really well. And I think how I've done that is that it's all I sell. I don't even sell one-on-one really. So my group is my core focus.
Mhm.
I use things like voice note, looms, so they can share exactly where they're at with me, and I can immediately go back and hear them and see them and help them with exactly where they're at, rather than say, no, sorry, it's week 2, or you have to wait for the group call. So I do give a lot of support offline, but not on one-on-one calls, but offline in different ways. I've created lots of systems. So we send like a personalized journal when they start. We'll send maybe cards when they gain their first client. We'll send a leaving gift when they leave. Let's think, how else have I managed to create that personal touch? I have a Google form, so it's like a monthly action review, so
Mm.
they can complete that each month. I'll send them a Loom back, so
Mm.
it'll be like celebrating their success, hearing where they're at, asking what more support do you need. So I never have that sinking feeling of people being in the program and quietly, not stepping forward and sharing what help that they need, because I'm asking them, what more can I do to support you? So
Mhm.
every month they get an opportunity to say, oh, I'm feeling this, or it would be great to have that. And again, I'll give them a personalized response to everything there. So they're my key ways, I think, of keeping it personal.
Tell me, I feel like from just what I'm hearing, like you've kind of cracked the code on how to avoid a launch model necessarily, and you've turned your program into evergreen, which I think is like really what everybody wants. Like you from that's my gut. Although I have really intentionally avoided a launch model business, and it is evergreen, but I do work one-on-one with my clients. So I want to know, from your perspective, how did you transition? Were you doing launches and then you transitioned to evergreen, and how the heck did you do that?
Yeah, great question. Because again, it's another thing that I think people really struggle with. And I'm sometimes mind blown that I've achieved it. So, yes, I started with 5-day challenges, which were obviously excruciatingly exhausting. And you might work so hard to get 2 people to say yes after you just literally giving your life for a week, which is hard when you've got kids and
Yes,
all of the things. So,
brutal.
yes, that's how I used to do it. And then I saw someone online, which is why I think it's really important that we do share our stories, saying that she was running an evergreen program, working school hours only, term time only. And I thought, God, how does that work? How can I take? So we have quite a long holiday here, 6 weeks in the summer. I've
Mhm.
got a week off next week. We have a lot of holidays here. So I was confused as to how it would work, but I thought I would try it, considering I saw that she was managing it. And so first it was a bit of a trickle. So it was kind of still felt launchy because I didn't really know what I was doing. So maybe I had 6 people join from the launch, and then I had one person join the following month. And then the other 6 would be coming up to their end date, because it used to be a 3-month program.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my learning there is, if you're going to do Evergreen, it really needs to be a 6-month to ensure you don't get to that awkward position where 6 are leaving and there's 1 person in the
Oh,
program.
right.
So that was a learning. So I
Yeah.
extended them, gifted them another 3 months, because I was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do? And then I just slowly started getting my head around it. The podcast, which is that deep evergreen marketing, the case studies, and just having that one call to action for absolutely everything that I do is, this is the only way to work with me. So you will have people, and I still get people all the time going, oh, well, I just want 2 sessions with you to, create my niche, create my offer, whatever it might be. And I don't really often anymore, but I sometimes used to give in to that. Whereas now I think I want the case study. Luckily, my obsession with the case study, like, I don't want to just give you 2 sessions, because that's not
Right.
going to do anything for me or for you.
Right.
Because great, you'll go off with your niche or you'll go off with your offer, but I want to see you consistently implement it so you get the result that you want, which then gives me the result that I want, which is the case study.
Right.
And obviously they get the amazing business at the end of it. So I just got really good at saying, no, this is what I offer. And if you want to work with me, this is how you can do that.
Mm.
I now, there's some new things that I've put in place to be a lot stricter with it. So now, for example, I have a start date at the beginning of each month, which I didn't used to have. They could genuinely, one would join one week, one would join the next week. Whereas now that creates that natural urgency that there kind of is a start date, and it says 3rd of June or 3rd of July, and I change that each month. So they do get that little thing in their head of like, if I want to do it this month, I do need to do it by the 3rd of June.
Mm.
So I get that. Also, there's only 5 spaces available each month, because obviously it's that beginning period that they really do need a lot of help.
Yeah.
So I used to have on my website, 2 out of 5 spaces available, and I genuinely go in and manually update it when people join, so it is real and not fake scarcity. And then I've just learned how to craft my calls to be able to handle people wherever they're at on the journey. And lots of that is by giving personal support outside of the calls, because sometimes, people are bored with listening to somebody else's niche drama. So for certain things, I will say, just message me about that and we'll go back and forth as many
Wow.
times as we need to,
Yeah.
so you get really clear on that. So
Mm.
I'm quite strict of the sorts of things people bring to the calls, and I do a lot of activities on the calls that will be suitable for everyone, rather than it be a boring Q&A each week, which is just kind of dull.
Right. Wow. You are definitely onto something here. So, Joanna, it has been such a delight to have you here. And it feels good to really connect with someone who I feel like is in a lot of alignment with the way I run my business. And I think it's beautiful. I'm so grateful that you shared all your wisdom with us today. Tell my audience where they can find you.
Yes, totally. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I have a podcast too called Women in the Coaching Arena, so you can check that out. And my website is joannalottcoaching.com. So Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's, joannalottcoaching.com. And I've got a free success planner for coaches on there, which will take you through from literally every single step of the way of building your business. So yes, I would love to meet you.
All right. Thank you. Is your website turning away potential clients? I can help you turn that around. Book a money-making messaging call with me today, and we'll transform your story into your most powerful sales tool. That's all for this episode of From Click to Client. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. I'm Kris Jones, and I'll see you next time.